Hi everybody, ChrisLody here again with another Liven 8-Bit Warps tutorial. I'm gradually working my way towards making a full drum synthesis tutorial for the 8-Bit Warps, but that will be more of a chiptune style drum synthesis video, whereas these two sounds are going to be more like an analog drum machine. So I decided to split them off into their own video because the method I used to make them isn't really relevant to the other drum synthesis tutorial. So first up is the kick drum. Now when we synthesize a kick drum, we tend to synthesize two elements. The first is a transient click-like sound, which is made to represent the beta of the kick drum hitting the skin. And the second is the body of the kick drum, made to represent the resonant sound moving around inside the shell of the kick drum, which gives it its boom. Now I found the best way to do this on the 8-Bit Warps is to create a transient waveform that goes from the center position to max and stays there. So it doesn't actually oscillate, it just creates a click, it just creates a DC offset, as it were. We do this in the wave edit mode. So to get into the wave edit mode, we hold function and press wave edit that's here. Now we need to find a waveform that's silent. I've got quite a lot of stuff in here that I've made. Lots of different custom waveforms. So we need to scroll through and find something that's empty. If I go all the way up to 34, press the keys, nothing's going to happen. So I press OK. So the way that the wave edit mode works on 8-Bit Warps is shown in a really good video on SONICWARE's YouTube. But basically, we can program in a waveform above and below a center position using the step buttons. So if we were to go all the way through and program all these numbers in at 9, we'd get a silent waveform. But if we create varied amounts above and below 9, we're going to get an oscillation that takes place above and below that center position. But what we really want to do here is to program all our values in the same. So as soon as the waveform starts playing, it maxes out and stays there. Now the easiest way to do that is to turn on the auto step function, and we're just going to keep hitting step 16 until our waveform is completely full of the same value. Now we can hear this as it changes as we play. We're getting a pulse wave that changes shape as we go through. We're gradually getting thinner and thinner until we get to the end. And there we go, it's gone silent. And we're just getting this click. So that means we're getting a waveform that jumps from the center position all the way up to maximum and stays there, which is great. It's just exactly what we need. So if we hit OK, save it into slot 34 here. So I've got just a blank pattern here and a blank memory. If you just want to make sure they're empty, you can press clear pattern and memory. And I'm going to stick with the warp engine. I'm going to turn our crossfade all the way over to the left hand side. So we're just getting the one waveform, and then I'm going to move right through all the different presets and my other custom sounds till we get to 34. When you get that click sound, it's very quiet at the moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn up the memory level to something healthy like 80, and we're getting a pop. You'll hear that it's clicking and then clicking as a leave off as well. That's to do with the envelope which we're about to alter. If we take our attack and turn that down to 0, you're getting much more of a sharp attack. And then we want to set our release a little bit long so that it doesn't click as we release the key. So I went with 36. Turn our sustain to 81. I think I just left that as default actually. And then a decay to about 5. So we're going to get just this little click. It doesn't sound right very much at the moment, but if we then turn on our high pass filter, like that, with function and HPF, what a high pass filter does is it leaves in the frequencies above the cutoff, but then we can emphasize the cutoff position with the resonance. So what we're creating is a big sort of booming sound at the bottom with all that click coming through above. So if we turn our resonance up to sort of halfway, and then our cut off all the way down to about 1 or 2, and there is our kick drum. And then what we can do is we can use the shift and the memory level again to turn all the way up, maybe much more of a driven kick drum sound. Lots of different variation there, or we can turn our resonance up more. It's more of a booming sound. I am going to leave that about there somewhere, sort of middling resonance value and memory level about 3/4 of the way up to 95, cut off at 1. So my velocity here is at max. I'm going to program in a 4/4 kick drum pattern just by holding a step and pressing a key. Like that. Perfect. So let's save that now. I'll hold function and press memory, and that will save this sound into this sound memory. And then I'm going to hold function and press pattern, and that will save that pattern into this pattern memory. So you might want to add a little bit of reverb to this as well. I find that the plate reverb sounds quite nice. So if you turn the reverb on by holding function and pressing reverb, Hall is going to be the first one. So let's just let it run, and I'll turn the level up a bit, and then cycle through. And personally, I think that sounds the best on the kick drums. So next up is our clap sound. When we synthesize a clap sound, what we're actually creating is several short little clicks really close together. This is the way that it works on an 808 drum machine, for example. The way we do this on 8-bit warps is I'm going to create a short click sound using the FM synth engine, which is we can make quite noisy, and then I'm going to use the flanger to sort of thicken it up and double those clicks up next to each other, and it will sound quite convincing. So I've left that plate reverb switched on. I'm going to go to another Kring pattern, so I'm going to move along pattern 4 here. That is also just an empty pattern and a beep. And I'm going to switch to our FM engine by holding function and pressing FM. And then the first thing I'm going to do is turn down the depth and, ratio, depth and level depth of the LFO, because I want to use the LFO. So shift, turn these down to 0. So we've got that. I'm going to drop an octave to there. I'm going to turn our ratio to 0.7, which is about there somewhere. So we get that sound. I'm going to crank the level all the way up to 127. So we get that slightly kind of vocally kind of sound. So the next thing I'm going to do is alter the envelope. I'm going to change the attack to about 4, seems to work quite well, and release down to about 5. So we've still got that kind of thing. Then I'm going to turn the sustain all the way down to 0, and the decay to about 5 as well, so that it matches the sustain. So we're just going to get this little popping sound. And then I'm going to turn the LFO speed all the way to the top, and the pitch to LFO all the way to the top as well. So that sounds a bit like a single clap. I'm going to turn on the effects and turn it to a flanger. So holding function, cycling through to flanger. We've got that, and then I'm going to hold shift. I'm going to turn the speed all the way to the top, and the amount down to 45. And that should be our clap sound. There we go. So now I'm going to program in a pattern to go with our 4/4 kick drum. So I've just worked a quick pattern out for our clap. If we go with 5, 11, 14 and 16, we get that. I've also audio recorded the kick into a quick loop so we can play them together. I'm going to just turn the level of this up a bit because it's a bit quiet compared to the kick, and I'm going to turn that reverb down a little bit because it's a little bit heavy-handed, maybe to 10. So if we play our clap sound, there we go. We got a nice kick clap loop going. So I really hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you've got any more questions about sound design and synthesis on the 8-bit warps or the XFM, please let me know in the comments below. I'll be making plenty more tutorials like this in the future. Yep, so thanks very much, and I'll catch you again. Cheers.